Captain Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force vessel Defiant, gazing at the vast emptiness of space through the main view screen. Her ship was on a routine patrol mission in the outer solar system, near Neptune's orbit. These patrols had become standard procedure since humanity had expanded its presence beyond Mars and established mining operations on several moons of the gas giants. Another quiet day in the neighborhood, Lisa said to no one in particular. Tucking a strand of blonde hair behind her ear, Lieutenant Joe Harrison nodded from his station. "Yes, ma'am. All systems normal. Nothing unusual on scans." He was young for his position, only 32, but had proven himself capable during the recent pirate incidents in the asteroid belt. Lisa sipped her coffee and allowed herself a small smile. She enjoyed these quiet moments, even if part of her sometimes wished for more excitement. After 15 years in the Earth Defense Force, she had seen enough action to last a lifetime, but the thrill of the unexpected never fully left her blood. "Captain," called out Ensign Kelly Rivera from the sensor station, her voice suddenly tense. "I'm picking up unusual readings at the edge of our scanning range." Lisa straightened in her chair. "Define unusual, Ensign." "Energy signatures unlike anything in our database, ma'am, and they're big. Really big." Joe moved to Kelly's station and studied the readings. His eyebrows shot up. "Confirmed, Captain. I'm counting multiple objects, at least 50, approaching from beyond Neptune's orbit. They weren't there a minute ago." "Cloaking technology?" Lisa asked, setting down her coffee cup. "No, ma'am," Joe replied, his fingers dancing across the console. "The readings suggest they just appeared. Some kind of faster-than-light travel we haven't seen before." Lisa's heart began to race, but her voice remained calm. "Yellow alert, shields up, but weapons on standby only. Let's not appear hostile." She tapped her communication badge. "Bridge to engineering." "Engineering here, Captain," came the gruff voice of Chief Engineer Alan Diaz. "Alan, I need full power to sensors and shields. We have company." "Understood, Captain. Diverting power. Now." Lisa turned to her communication officer. "Lieutenant Grace Bennett, open all standard greeting channels, all known frequencies." "Channels open, Captain," Grace replied, her dark eyes focused on her console. "This is Captain Lisa Morgan of the Earth Defense Force vessel Defiant. Unknown vessels, please identify yourselves and state your intentions in this system." For several tense moments there was no response. The bridge crew watched as the mysterious fleet drew closer, now clearly visible on the main view screen. The ships were enormous, with sleek, purple-hued hulls that seemed to shimmer slightly, as if not entirely solid. Their design was unlike anything human engineers had ever created, with organic-looking curves and spiraling protrusions. "They're beautiful," Kelly whispered. "And each one is approximately 3 times the size of our largest battleship," Joe added grimly. Suddenly the view screen flickered, and the image of the approaching fleet was replaced by the face of a being that was clearly not human. Tall and regal-looking, the alien had purple skin that matched the color of their ships. A high, elongated cranium was adorned with what appeared to be ceremonial jewelry, and large, completely black eyes regarded the humans with an expression that even across species barriers read as smugness. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. The computer is attempting to translate," Grace announced. A moment later the alien spoke, its mouth movements not quite matching the English words that came through the ship's speakers. "Primitive human vessel. This is High Commander Zorax of the Galactic Hegemony. Your species has been observed and found wanting. Prepare to be subjugated under the benevolent rule of the Empire. Resistance is futile. Your technological inferiority ensures your defeat." The bridge fell silent. Lisa blinked slowly, processing the words. She looked at Joe, who seemed equally stunned. Then she looked at Kelly, whose mouth had fallen open slightly. Grace was staring at the screen in disbelief. Lisa felt something bubble up inside her chest. Maybe it was the absurdity of the situation. Maybe it was the stress of suddenly facing an alien armada. Maybe it was the ridiculously cliched dialogue the alien had just delivered. Whatever the reason, Captain Lisa Morgan did something that confused not only the alien commander, but also her own crew. She laughed. It started as a small chuckle, but quickly grew into full-bodied laughter that had her gripping the arms of her command chair for support. "Captain?" Joe asked uncertainly. Lisa held up a finger, asking for a moment as she tried to compose herself. On the view screen, the alien commander, Zorax, appeared completely baffled, his black eyes blinking rapidly. I'm sorry," Lisa finally managed, wiping a tear from her eye. "That was unprofessional of me." "You dare mock the might of the hegemony?" Zorax demanded, his cranial ridges flushing a deeper purple in apparent anger. Lisa took a deep breath. "No offense intended, Commander Zorax. It's just that your entrance was very dramatic." She straightened in her chair, adopting a more proper posture. "Perhaps we should discuss this situation more diplomatically. I'm not authorized to surrender Earth or any human colonies, and I'm certain my superiors would say the same." Zorax's eyes narrowed. "You speak as if you have a choice, human. Our scans indicate your vessel possesses only basic shielding and primitive weaponry. The entire human fleet would be no match for even a fraction of our forces." Lisa kept her expression neutral now, though her eyes sparkled with amusement. "I see. Well, in that case, I should probably alert Earth to your arrival. Protocol and all that. Would you mind holding your invasion for, say, 24 of our hours while I consult with my government?" The alien commander seemed to consider this. "Your delay tactics are transparent but ultimately futile. We grant you this small courtesy. 24 of your hours, no more." "Thank you, Commander." Defiant out. Lisa made a cutting motion to Grace, who closed the channel. The view screen returned to showing the alien fleet, now stationary at a distance of roughly 500,000 kilometers. As soon as the transmission ended, Lisa's expression turned serious. "Grace, send everything we have to Earth Command, Priority Alpha. Joe, I want continuous scans of those ships. Any weakness, any abnormality, anything we can use. Kelly, monitor for any changes in their position or status. Alan," she added, opening the channel to engineering again, "I need you to prepare a full report on that fleet's energy readings compared to our own systems." "Yes, Captain," came the chorus of responses. Lisa settled back in her chair, her mind racing. The alien commander had severely underestimated human technology. That much was clear. Earth and its colonies had made enormous technological leaps in the past century, particularly in weapons and defensive systems. If this galactic hegemony thought they were dealing with a primitive species, they were in for quite a surprise. She smiled to herself. Sometimes being underestimated was the greatest advantage of all. The message from the Defiant reached Earth within seconds, transmitted through the quantum entanglement communication system that humanity had perfected 20 years earlier. In the central command room of Earth Defense Force headquarters in Mime-Di-Sedande, Colorado, Admiral Frank Carter watched the recording of Captain Morgan's encounter with the alien fleet. "She laughed at them?" Admiral Carter asked, a hint of amusement in his voice. "Yes, sir," replied Commander Susan White, his aide. "Captain Morgan has always had an unusual approach to first contact situations." Admiral Carter stroked his gray beard thoughtfully. "In this case, it might have bought us some time, 24 hours before they expect an answer." The Admiral turned to the large holographic display showing the alien fleet's position near Neptune. Various data streams scrolled alongside the image, detailing what little information the Defiant had managed to gather about the intruders. "What do we know about their capabilities?" he asked the room at large. Dr. Nathan Wright, head of the EDF Science Division, stepped forward. He was a thin man with thick glasses and perpetually messy brown hair. "Based on the energy readings Captain Morgan sent us, their technology is impressive but not as advanced as they seem to believe." "Explain," the Admiral ordered. "Their ships appear to use some form of particle beam weapons and basic gravitic manipulation for propulsion and possibly offensive capabilities. Powerful certainly, but nothing we haven't seen before or developed countermeasures against." Susan White looked puzzled. "Then why are they so confident?" Dr. Wright adjusted his glasses. "That's the interesting part. They don't appear to have quantum shielding technology, or any understanding of dark matter manipulation. It's as if they're working with technology that's advanced in some areas but significantly behind in others. Admiral Carter paced the room. So they think we're primitive, because they don't understand our technology, and we appear primitive to their scanning methods. Precisely, Dr. Wright nodded enthusiastically. Their scans likely detected our standard electromagnetic shields but missed our quantum defense grid entirely. They probably think the Defiant is just a lightly armed patrol ship, not the advanced, multi-phase battlecruiser it actually is, the Admiral smiled. Then we have the element of surprise. He turned to the communications officer. Get me Captain Morgan. Within moments, Lisa's face appeared on the main screen. Admiral Carter, sir. I assume you've reviewed our encounter? Indeed, Captain. Your response was unconventional but effective. The Admiral's expression turned serious. Your assessment of the situation? Lisa stood straight, her hands clasped behind her back. They're overconfident, sir. Their commander, this Zorax, speaks to us as if we're savages who've barely mastered spaceflight. I believe they have no idea what they're actually dealing with. Our analysis confirms your impression. Dr. Wright believes their scanning technology doesn't detect our quantum-based systems at all. Lisa's eyes widened slightly. That would explain it. Should I reveal our true capabilities, sir? Admiral Carter considered for a moment. Not yet. I want to attempt diplomacy first. We're sending Ambassador Paul Grant to your position via quantum jump. He'll arrive within the hour. In the meantime, continue passive scans but maintain your current posture. Don't give them any reason to think we're anything but what they already believe us to be. Understood, sir. What if they make an aggressive move before the ambassador arrives? Defend yourself as necessary, but try to keep it subtle. Use only conventional weapons if possible. I'd like to keep our advanced capabilities as a surprise for as long as we can. Yes, sir. Lisa nodded. Morgan out. As the communication ended, Admiral Carter turned to his staff. Prepare the fleet, but keep them just beyond lunar orbit for now. I want our options open. Back on the Defiant, Lisa informed her crew of the plan. So we just sit here and pretend to be helpless? Lieutenant Joe Harrison asked, not bothering to hide his skepticism. Those are our orders, Lisa replied. And frankly, I think it's a smart move. The less they know about what we can do, the better our position when negotiations begin. Assuming they're willing to negotiate, Joe pointed out. Everyone wants to avoid unnecessary conflict, Lieutenant. Even alien empires. Lisa wasn't entirely convinced of that herself, but leadership meant projecting confidence. On the other side of the standoff, High Commander Zorax was having a very different conversation aboard his flagship, the Imperial Fist. The human captain laughed at me. Zorax fumed, pacing the command deck. His senior officers watched nervously, aware of their commander's legendary temper. Perhaps it was a stress response, suggested Valar, his science officer. Many primitive species display inappropriate emotional reactions when confronted with superior forces. Zorax stopped pacing. What have you learned from your scans of their vessel and communications? Valar consulted his datapad. Their ship appears to be primarily a patrol vessel with minimal weaponry, mostly projectile-based with some rudimentary energy weapons. Their shields would not withstand even one shot from our second-tier cannons. And the planet itself? Similar technology throughout their system. They have a larger fleet, but nothing that poses any genuine threat to our armada. They appear to use basic radio and light-speed communications, although... Valar frowned. Although what? Zorax demanded. There was a strange energy pulse immediately after our conversation with the human captain. It lasted only milliseconds and doesn't match any communication technology we're familiar with. Could it be a weapon? Unlikely, Commander. It carried almost no power. Perhaps some form of primitive scanning technology. Zorax nodded, satisfied with the explanation. They are likely scrambling in panic, trying to decide whether to fight or surrender. He chuckled darkly. Begin preparations for a display of force. Target one of their uninhabited moons in this system. Once their 24 hours are up, we'll demonstrate our power before offering them one final chance to submit. Yes, Commander, his officers acknowledged. What neither Zorax nor his science officer realized was that the strange energy pulse they had detected was actually Earth's quantum entanglement communication system, technology far beyond the hegemony's understanding. Meanwhile, in the space between the Earth and Mars, a small ripple appeared as a sleek silver vessel materialized from seemingly nowhere. The diplomatic ship Olive Branch had just completed a quantum jump, a method of travel that made traditional faster-than-light propulsion seem glacially slow in comparison. Ambassador Paul Grant stood from his seat, straightening his formal uniform. "How long until we reach the Defiant?" he asked the pilot. "About 30 minutes at standard speed, sir," replied the pilot. "We could quantum jump again, but given the delicate nature of first contact, Captain Morgan suggested we approach more conventionally so as not to alarm our visitors." Ambassador Grant nodded. "Very wise. Let's not show all our cards at once." As the diplomatic vessel made its way toward the standoff, both sides prepared for their first official meeting, each believing they held the upper hand, but only one, truly understanding the technological gap that existed between them. The diplomatic vessel Olive Branch docked with the Defiant without incident. Captain Lisa Morgan was waiting in the docking bay when Ambassador Paul Grant stepped through the airlock. He was a tall man with dark skin and a calm presence that seemed to fill the room. "Captain Morgan," he greeted her with a firm handshake. "Quite the situation you found yourself in." "Ambassador Grant," Lisa nodded respectfully. "Thank you for coming so quickly." They walked through the corridors of the Defiant toward the bridge, crew members nodding respectfully as they passed. "I've reviewed the recording of your first contact," the ambassador said. "Your laughter was an interesting diplomatic choice." Lisa's cheeks reddened slightly. "It was an instinctive reaction, sir. Not my most professional moment." Paul surprised her with a warm smile. "On the contrary, sometimes honesty is the best diplomatic tool we have. Their threat was frankly laughable, given what we know about our respective technologies." They reached the bridge where Lieutenant Joe Harrison and the rest of the senior crew were waiting. After brief introductions, they gathered around the tactical display. "The alien fleet hasn't moved," Joe reported, "but they've been scanning us almost constantly." "Let them look," Ambassador Grant said confidently. "They won't find anything we don't want them to see." He turned to Lisa. "It's time to respond to their ultimatum. Please open a channel to their commander." Grace Bennett nodded from her communication station. "Channel open, Ambassador." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing High Commander Zorax's purple face. He seemed surprised to see a new human standing beside Captain Morgan. "I am Ambassador Paul Grant, representing the United Earth government," Paul announced formally. "I understand you've made certain demands of our people." Zorax's black eyes narrowed. "The galactic hegemony does not make demands, human. We offer the inevitability of your subjugation with the merciful option of peaceful surrender." Paul nodded thoughtfully. "I see. And if we choose not to accept this mercy, then we will demonstrate our power in a way that leaves no doubt about the futility of resistance," Zorax replied, his cranial ridges darkening with what appeared to be pride. "A demonstration seems reasonable," Paul said, surprising everyone on both sides of the conversation. "Perhaps we could meet in person to discuss terms and observe this demonstration. It would help our leadership make an informed decision." Zorax seemed taken aback by the easy agreement but quickly recovered. "Very well. We will send a shuttle to your vessel in 2 hours. You and Captain Morgan may board and return with me to the Imperial Fist for discussions." "We look forward to it," Paul replied smoothly. "Grant out." As the screen went black, Lisa turned to the ambassador with raised eyebrows. "You're actually going to let them demonstrate their weapons?" Paul's expression was calculating. "Know your enemy, Captain. Besides, I'm curious to see exactly what they think will frighten us into submission." 2 hours later, a purple shuttle from the Hegemony fleet docked with the Defiant. Lisa and Paul boarded, accompanied by 2 security officers who, despite their standard uniforms, were actually elite Special Forces operatives with extensive combat enhancements hidden beneath their skin. The interior of the alien shuttle was surprisingly comfortable, with curved seating that adapted to human physiology as they sat down. The journey to the Imperial Fist took nearly 30 minutes, giving Lisa time to observe their technology up close. "Notice anything interesting?" Paul asked quietly. Lisa nodded subtly. "Their propulsion system is impressive, but I don't see any quantum stabilizers or dark matter containment, and their communication equipment is entirely based on tachyon transmission. All advanced, but still conventional," Paul agreed. "Interesting that such different species would develop along such similar technological paths, yet miss entire branches of scientific discovery." When they arrived at the Imperial Fist, Lisa was struck by the size of the vessel. It was truly enormous, at least 5 times the size of Earth's largest battleship. They were escorted through grand corridors by alien guards carrying what appeared to be energy weapons. High Commander Zorax received them in a command center filled with holographic displays showing various parts of the solar system. His senior officers stood nearby, studying the humans with curiosity. "Welcome aboard the flagship of the hegemony," Zorax announced proudly. "Before we discuss terms of your surrender, we will provide the demonstration I promised." He gestured to a large view screen showing Triton, one of Neptune's moons. "Observe." One of his officers activated a control sequence, and a beam of bright green energy shot out from the Imperial Fist, crossing the distance to Triton in seconds. When it struck the moon's surface, a massive explosion bloomed, sending debris flying into space and leaving a crater nearly 50 kilometers wide. "That was approximately 1/10 the power of our main weapons," Zorax explained, clearly expecting the humans to be terrified. "The full force could easily reduce your largest cities to ash." Lisa and Paul exchanged glances. Lisa had to bite her lip to keep from laughing again. "Impressive," Paul said diplomatically. "May I ask what energy source powers such weapons?" "Antimatter. Annihilation," Zorax said proudly. "Technology, I'm sure, is beyond your comprehension." Paul nodded thoughtfully. "Actually, we're quite familiar with antimatter, though we found more efficient uses for it than simply making big explosions." Zorax's expression shifted to one of confusion. "You claim to understand antimatter technology? Your vessels show no sign of such capabilities." "Perhaps your scanning technology has limitations," Lisa suggested mildly. The alien commander's eyes narrowed. "You speak with unusual confidence for representatives of an inferior species facing annihilation." Paul smiled politely. "Let me be direct, Commander Zorax. We have no intention of surrendering to the hegemony. Earth and its colonies will remain free. We're willing to establish diplomatic and trade relations as equals, but nothing more." The alien officers around them began talking rapidly in their own language, clearly alarmed by this response. Zorax himself seemed momentarily speechless. "You've seen our power," he finally said, "and yet you refuse our generous offer?" "We have," Paul confirmed. "Now perhaps you'd like to see a small demonstration of ours?" He tapped a small device on his wrist. Moments later, a tiny probe, no larger than his palm, appeared in the center of the command center. It floated serenely, emitting a soft blue glow. "What is this?" Zorax demanded. "Some primitive attempt at intimidation?" "This is a standard terraforming probe," Paul explained calmly. "We use thousands of them to prepare potentially habitable worlds for colonization." The probe projected a holographic display showing a barren planet. As they watched, the simulation showed the probe deploying on the surface. Within minutes of simulated time, the planet's atmosphere was transformed, water bodies formed, and plant life began to spread across the surface. "We can remake a world in days," Paul said simply. "Our military technology is proportionally advanced." The color drained from Zorax's purple face, leaving it a pale lavender. For the first time since their encounter began, the alien commander looked truly uncertain. "I think," Lisa added with a small smile, "that it might be time to reconsider who exactly is the advanced species here." Silence filled the command center of the Imperial Fist as the holographic demonstration of the terraforming probe ended. The alien officers stood frozen, their expressions a mixture of shock and disbelief. High Commander Zorax was the first to recover, his purple skin returning to its normal shade as he straightened his posture. A convincing illusion, he said, but his voice lacked its previous confidence, though I fail to see how environmental manipulation relates to military capability. Ambassador Paul Grant smiled patiently. Consider what technology is required to rebuild a planet's atmosphere in days rather than millennia. The energy control systems alone are beyond anything you've demonstrated, and if we can transform a planet's environment that quickly, Captain Lisa Morgan added, imagine what similar technology could do to a battleship. Zorax's science officer, Valar, stepped forward hesitantly. Commander, I believe we should consider what they're saying. The energy signatures from their small probe are unusual, not like anything in our database. You're suggesting that these humans who have been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries have somehow surpassed the hegemony's technology? Zorax's voice rose in irritation. Different paths of development, not necessarily superior in all areas, Paul suggested diplomatically. Your faster-than-light travel system, for instance, is quite impressive. Valar's eyes widened. You have analyzed our propulsion technology already? Lisa shrugged. It wasn't difficult. Your gravitic fold system is similar to designs we experimented with about 50 years ago, before developing quantum displacement. Quantum displacement? Valar repeated the words as if they were in a foreign language. Perhaps we should return to the matter at hand, Paul interjected smoothly. Commander Zorax, Earth is not interested in conflict with the hegemony. We would much prefer peaceful relations and cultural exchange. Zorax struggled visibly with this unexpected turn of events. His entire mission had been predicated on the assumption that humans would be easy to intimidate or defeat if necessary. Now he was facing representatives of a civilization that might well be technologically superior to his own. I must consult with my superiors, Zorax finally said. This situation requires further assessment. Of course, Paul agreed. In the meantime, perhaps a gesture of goodwill, the withdrawal of your fleet to beyond the orbit of Pluto would help ease tensions. You expect me to retreat based on an unverified claim of technological superiority? Zorax's pride clearly stung at the suggestion. Lisa exchanged a glance with Paul. Commander, we've been extremely patient. You entered our solar system unannounced, threatened our planet with subjugation, and fired a weapon at one of our system's moons. Under Earth military protocol, we would have been justified in responding with force. If you could, Zorax said, a hint of his old arrogance returning. Paul sighed. Captain Morgan, I believe a more convincing demonstration might be necessary. Lisa nodded and touched her wrist device. Morgan to Defiant. Execute Protocol Lighthouse. Acknowledged. Captain, came Joe Harrison's voice. Executing Protocol Lighthouse now. For a few seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Then alarms began blaring throughout the alien flagship. Commander! One of the alien officers shouted, panic evident in his voice. Energy surges detected on all decks. Something is interfacing with our systems. The main view screen in the command center activated on its own, cycling rapidly through different areas of the ship. Critical systems appeared and disappeared from the display, revealing aspects of the vessel that Zorax had certainly not intended to show to the humans. What is this? Zorax demanded. What are you doing to my ship? Nothing harmful, Lisa assured him. We're simply accessing your computer systems to verify your capabilities and intentions. Impossible! Our cybersecurity is unbreachable. For conventional methods, perhaps, Paul acknowledged, but quantum entanglement computing operates on principles your systems aren't designed to detect, let alone prevent. On the view screen, a new image appeared. The Earth Defense Fleet, previously hidden behind the moon, now moving into formation. 5 sleek vessels, each barely a quarter the size of the hegemony's smallest warship, approached at incredible speed. Those are Earth vessels? Valar asked, unable to hide his scientific curiosity despite the tense situation. Training vessels, actually, Lisa responded casually. For our cadets. Cadets? Zorax repeated incredulously. Final year students from the Earth Defense Academy. Lisa explained. The exercise today was supposed to be routine patrol practice. Now it's become a first contact scenario. Excellent training opportunity. The alien commander stared at the screen, watching as the human vessels took up positions around his fleet. Their small size seemed almost comical compared to the massive hegemony ships, yet there was something about their design, sleek, almost predatory, that suggested hidden power. You expect me to believe that mere training ships pose a threat to a hegemony battle fleet? Zorax asked. As if in answer to his question, the sensors on the Imperial Fist suddenly went dark. Commander, a tactical officer called out. We've lost all external sensors. Internal systems are still functional, but we're effectively blind. How? Zorax demanded. Quantum field disruption, Paul explained helpfully. Perfectly harmless to organic life, but it temporarily disables certain types of electronics. Your systems should recover in about 20 minutes. Zorax looked from Paul to Lisa and back again, his expression unreadable. You could have disabled our weapons as, well, yes, Lisa agreed simply. Or our life support, Valar added, his voice barely above a whisper. That would have been counterproductive to peaceful relations, Paul said with a gentle smile. We're hoping to establish friendship, not provoke conflict. For a long moment, Zorax stood in silence, his proud posture gradually slumping as the reality of the situation sank in. When he finally spoke, his voice was quieter, almost respectful. It seems I have misunderstood your species, Ambassador Grant. Captain Morgan. An understandable error, Commander, Paul said generously. First, contact situations are always challenging. Perhaps we could start again as equals this time. Zorax nodded slowly. I would like to invite you both to a proper diplomatic meeting. No threats, no demonstrations of force. Just dialogue between our civilizations. We would be honored, Paul replied. As they prepared to leave the command center, Lisa noticed Valar approaching them hesitantly. Captain Morgan, the science officer said quietly. May I ask, how? How did your species develop such advanced technology in such a short time? Lisa smiled. Necessity, curiosity, and perhaps a bit of luck. How much do you know about Earth's history? Very little, Valar admitted. Our intelligence was based primarily on intercepted broadcast signals. A sudden realization dawned on Lisa's face. Wait, don't tell me you based your assessment of our technology on our entertainment broadcasts? The embarrassed look on Valar's face was all the answer she needed. Lisa couldn't help it. Once again she laughed. 2 days after the tense confrontation aboard the Imperial Fist, representatives from Earth and the Galactic Hegemony gathered in a more neutral location. The United Nations Assembly Hall in New York had been chosen for the historic meeting, its grand architecture and symbolic importance making it the perfect venue for establishing formal relations between the two civilizations. Captain Lisa Morgan stood near the back of the room, watching as Ambassador Paul Grant and High Commander Zorax signed the first interstellar treaty between humanity and the hegemony. The treaty established peaceful relations, defined boundaries of influence, and outlined initial trade agreements. The hegemony would share their star charts and cultural knowledge, while Earth would provide limited access to some of their less advanced technologies. Lisa couldn't help but smile at the dramatic change in Zorax's demeanor. Gone was the arrogant conqueror who had demanded Earth's submission. In his place stood a cautious diplomat, clearly anxious to avoid any further misunderstandings with a civilization that had proven far more advanced than expected. Quite a change from a few days ago, observed a voice beside her. Lisa turned to see Admiral Frank Carter, who had arrived from Earth Defense Headquarters to witness the treaty signing. It's amazing what a little demonstration of quantum field technology can do for interspecies relations, Lisa replied with a smile. Your unconventional approach worked out well in the end, the Admiral acknowledged. Though I'm not sure laughing at an alien commander will make it into the official first contact protocols. Lisa's cheeks reddened slightly. In my defense, sir, their assessment of our capabilities was genuinely laughable. Indeed it was. The Admiral's expression turned more serious. What do you make of them now that you've had more time to interact? Lisa considered for a moment. They're not bad people, just overconfident. Their civilization has been the dominant power in their region of space for millennia. They simply assumed the same would be true here. A dangerous assumption in any context, the Admiral noted. Across the room, the signing ceremony concluded with polite applause. Zorax and his delegation were now mingling with Earth officials, the initial tension having given way to cautious curiosity on both sides. Lisa noticed Valar, the hegemony's science officer, standing somewhat apart from the others, studying a display of Earth's historical technological development on a wall screen. She made her way over to him. "Learning more about us?" she asked. Valar turned, his expression brightening upon recognizing her. "Captain Morgan, yes, I find your species' development fascinating. You progressed from basic flight to quantum displacement in less than 3 centuries. The hegemony took nearly 1,000 years to achieve similar advancements. Different paths of development," Lisa suggested. "I'm still curious about how you came to such incorrect conclusions about our technology level." Valar's purple skin darkened in what Lisa had come to recognize as embarrassment. "We intercepted your broadcast signals several decades ago. What we thought were historical documents or news reports were actually entertainment," Lisa finished for him. "Science fiction shows and movies." "Yes," Valar admitted. "Our analysts believed your Star Trek and Star Wars were documentaries showing the limits of your technological capabilities. When we detected conventional radio signals and basic electromagnetic shields, it seemed to confirm our assessment." Lisa couldn't help but laugh again, though this time it was gentle, without mockery. "So you thought our warships would be like the ones in our old entertainment programs? No wonder you were so confident." "A grave error in intelligence gathering," Valar acknowledged, "one that nearly led to a serious conflict." "But didn't," Lisa reminded him. "And now we have the opportunity to learn from each other." Across the room, Zorax had finished his discussions with Earth officials and was making his way toward them. The hegemony commander still moved with pride, but there was a new humility in his bearing. "Captain Morgan," he greeted her formally, "I wanted to speak with you before our delegation departs." "Commander Zorax," Lisa nodded respectfully. "I hope the negotiations were satisfactory." "They were fair," Zorax conceded. "More fair than I might have been, had our situations been reversed." He seemed to struggle with his next words. "I wish to apologize for my initial approach to your species. My actions were based on flawed intelligence and personal arrogance." Lisa was genuinely surprised. From what she had learned of hegemony culture, apologies from high-ranking officials were extremely rare. "Apology accepted, Commander," she said sincerely. "First contact scenarios are complicated at the best of times." "Your laughter," Zorax said suddenly. "When I first threatened your planet, I understand it better now." "Do you?" Lisa asked, curious about his perspective. "It was not mere disrespect as I initially believed. It was appropriate. In your position, knowing what you knew, laughter was the correct response." His black eyes studied her face. "Your species is interesting, Captain Morgan. I believe the hegemony has much to learn from humans." "And we from you," Lisa replied diplomatically. As the hegemony delegation prepared to depart, Admiral Carter joined Lisa at one of the large windows overlooking the New York skyline. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the city. "Penny for your thoughts, Captain?" he asked. "I was just thinking about how close we came to a conflict," Lisa said. "All because they thought we were the primitive ones." "The universe has a sense of humor," the Admiral replied. "They came to conquer and left as trade partners, all because we couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all." "Do you think they'll ever live it down?" Lisa asked. "Being so wrong about us?" "Would we, if the situations were reversed?" Carter replied with a chuckle. "Probably not for a few hundred years at least." A week later, the hegemony fleet departed Earth's solar system, leaving behind a small diplomatic vessel and several cultural attachés. Lisa watched their departure from the bridge of the Defiant, which had resumed its patrol duties near Neptune. Lieutenant Joe Harrison stood at her side, observing the readings as the massive ships activated their gravitic fold drives. "They're still using the same propulsion technology," he noted. "You'd think after everything they'd seen they might ask for some pointers." "Pride takes time to overcome," Lisa replied. "Give them time. This is just the beginning of our relationship." "With the hegemony, do you think we'll ever visit their worlds?" Joe asked. Lisa smiled, thinking about the vast galaxy that had suddenly become much more accessible with the star charts the hegemony had provided. "I'm counting on it, Lieutenant. After all, we've barely scratched the surface of what's out there." As the last hegemony ship disappeared into the darkness of space, Lisa considered how an encounter that had begun with threats had transformed into an opportunity. Perhaps laughter truly was the best first contact protocol, a reminder that no matter how advanced a civilization might become, humility and a sense of humor would always be valuable traits. The universe was vast, filled with wonders and potential, new allies. And humanity, with its unique blend of technological innovation and emotional intelligence, was ready to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals, ready to both teach and learn. And occasionally, when the situation called for it, to laugh.